Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to present on this effective trade and marketing surveillance. We try to use a DeKUT, what is the benefit we can get from artificial intelligence, and through how we can be able to increase the transparency and also to avoid the manipulation of the market. If I may say, I created interest in when I was doing my master's degree, sometimes long time around 2006, 2007. I published my first paper in artificial intelligence those times of 2008, but that time it was not really appreciated as it is today. So what I can say is now I am trying to see how can we use now this artificial intelligence to be able to bring the transparent, because that is very important, and also to bring what we call explainability so that people can understand where the data comes from. That is what I'm going to discuss with you. Otherwise, I am working as a university professor, and I do much more work on virtual mechatronics and use artificial intelligence to solve African problems in Africa, definitely in Africa context. What I'm going to discuss with you, I have to go a little bit on the basics. I am not much a person from the School of Business. I am a merchant engineer, but who has, because of reading a project and working, I have an understanding on the market and what do we need to do to make things to work in a proper way, because we are seeing a lot of market manipulation here and there. So we are trying to see how can we use the aspect of artificial intelligence in trade and market surveillance, and how can we try to have transparency in what we call rule-based artificial intelligence. I will explain what is rule-based artificial intelligence, and I will show the difference between the rule-based and the black box. Many young people today, if you ask them about artificial intelligence, they take it as a black box. They are talking about something you don't understand what is happening, but as much as it can learn it. It means one of my students sometimes back was trying to say, for example, you take a cat and a dog. You know, if you are in Europe, the small puppy, the small dogs, they look like cats. So you may not be able to differentiate them. So, but artificial intelligence can be able to do that. Then we are trying to look at implementation. We are trying to look at the challenges, and we are trying to look at opportunities. That is what I'm going to discuss about. But if I go to the trade and market systems, we need to understand, I have to start here. We need to understand, well, because the market is in two categories. It may be 3 or 4, but here the main are 2. What we can call the primary market, where if you look at this primary market, we are talking about, when we talk about the platform, where we have the securities such as the bonds, the equity shares, the bond share. So it means you are bringing something on the market for the first time. So in this case, there will be an implication, or there will be a communication directly between an investor and the companies which are insuring those securities. So the features of this, you will find there is issue of new securities. There is issue of maybe you can look at a fundraising platform. You can look at the compliance. You can look at the freedom to determine the price, because it's the first time. But when you go to the secondary market, we are looking at now what happened, the security. You don't need those securities of the primary market. In this case, you are talking about the security happened between the investors. So it investors among themselves, they can be able to decide without necessarily involving the first companies which are giving the securities. Which ensures what we call the entities. So the feature here, you have no impact on ensuring those company financial, the liquidity for investors, the price discovery, the regular trading. So those things you don't have them. But when you look at it, at a large extent, you will realize both primary and the secondary market depends on the country infrastructures and the regulatory political conditions. Because also in a country to a country, you can have this depending on emerging market, because people can be able to, the country differ depending on how the market is behaving and what are natural resources they are having. That is what important to understand in this. But when you go to the trade and you try to understand and you try to check from literatures, from the insider trading, you will find a lot of evidence where there are people who attempts to get benefit or to receive, to use some random, the information or economic agent in a random way, whereby they can gain unfair gain or unfair benefit. So what we are trying to see is to see how now can we set a way, because the companies like now those literatures, they are trying to see how the global regulation can be able to have serious penalties or sufficient penalties for these people who try to be optimistic, so that you can stop them. Again, what people are trying to say is to try to document this, what I can call idiosyncratic information for personal gain in a kind of a centralized exchange or in the such as a stock market, because the people are trying to play with the data. So what is happening? Sometimes this evidence are found when you are dealing with what we call over-the-counter market. So it means this over-the-counter market, which is a market which is much more fragmented, and the people can be really this decentralized market or this over-the-counter market. They are not much regulated. So it means you can really find the challenges in those kind of market. We had a case in 2015 where we had this case of conviction of Hiren Kamai from Australia, because these people managed to get $7 million in an irregular foreign exchange. You can read much more about this case. But there are also other evidence to show possibilities. How can you use technology-based models or technology-based market so that you can be able to deal with these criminals? Or how can you be able to have the criminals prosecuted? So those are the things we are thinking about. But how do we go about it in terms of now we try to understand the technology? To be able to do it, you need to understand how the artificial intelligence works. We need to have an idea on the aspect of artificial intelligence in trade and market survey. Because to understand this, it will be giving us an idea to say, what is this artificial intelligence are we talking about? We are talking about taking the data, training them in what we can call the machine learning. Here we are talking about data science, we are talking about big data, and then we are trying to see how can we do analyzing of this data from the training them and extract a certain information so that it can help you to automate or to create a certain intelligent decision depending on what you want to achieve. But it can happen in the real world, because artificial intelligence is becoming a challenge, is becoming, when I was doing this artificial intelligence in 2007, it was not really clear, why do we need to do artificial intelligence? Why do we need to train the data by that time then? But now, when you look at the artificial intelligence models, they are what we call the black box. Those are like artificial neural network. Me, I was in my publication some days back. You can check this publication. You can find it somewhere here. 27, it was a conference. It is in IEEE. You can be able to find it here. You can check the fuzzy logic control. I was controlling this kind of machines by that time then. I will share with you the link in the in the chat. But what we are saying here, we are saying artificial intelligence is much more you train the data and you want to use a kind of language model so that you can have a lot of computation, but it becomes very difficult for human being to understand what happened. So what is important? We are trying to see human being, if he doesn't see, when he sees something in a black box, he needed to have more an understanding and an explanation of what happened so that he can see whether this is true. And then he can be able to say, instead of saying, because sometimes you may say, it is just responsibility of AI models to give you the information. So that brings an issue of transparency in human, if human being, if you are trying to interpret those models, because we need really to develop more transparency in market data so that people can be able to understand and can be able to trust those data. So those models we are trying to propose, as I said, when we are talking about fuzzy logic, we use what we call if-then rules. If the rules, you are creating conditions. This is something small I have put here down on my screen. I had many rules, but I'm talking about when I was developing those rules. I wanted to create conditions. Here I was dealing with engineering concept. I'm dealing with voltage, current, and so forth. But in the market, you can deal also with this if-then rules. This is the same rule we use in our normal life, because when we are discussing about teaching in the universities, or we talk about the court of laws. The court of laws, they use if-then rules. If we go to the constitution, if you want to say somebody has broken a constitution, this is something in Kenya here, people use much to say things are unconstitutional. But if somebody do something unconstitutional, if I do this and I do this, then what can happen? In a court of law, there are those things of saying this is a criminal case, this is a civil case, maybe marriage versus theft. But if somebody committed this and committed this, what is happening? In USA, you will find somebody has 35 years, another 35 here, another 35 here for the imprisonment. So there is a need of having this rule-based interpretation, which can bring explainability. As I said, if I send you this paper, you will have, maybe you can have an idea, but I can go to this rule-based to try to understand what it is. Because why do you do it? You have if-then rule decision, because you say because you want to automate the system, but you want to create a condition. When you are creating a condition, you want it to create transparency, because the people will see whether the condition has been obeyed for this to happen. So it means if you want somebody to present his data, you need to have a certain condition to know or to verify. Otherwise, anything you can train in artificial intelligence, it can give you the data. So, but if you have not generated rules which allows human being intervention, we are moving from black box of artificial intelligence, but by going to if-then rules. So if we do that, it means we are allowing the human being to use his intelligence, because human being is intelligent as an algorithm, or not an algorithm help him to run very big data, very complex data. We need also an intelligence, because we need the capability of the rule-based modeling, so that which can inform the decision based on the discovered knowledge and automatic learning. So it means those a pattern, because for us, if you take today software called MATLAB, maybe some of you has used MATLAB or has used the Python, and you put the word fuzzy, or you use the word unfuzzy. If you use fuzzy or unfuzzy, you can be able to see what I'm talking about on this if-then rules. So again, what we are trying to talk about is transparency. We are trying to see whether they can be trust, but this trust can be there if people understand the rule structure, if people understand what is happening. So it means in the coming days, definitely what we are looking at transparency, to build the trust. That is what people, they come and try to bring the blockchain, because the blockchain is to be much more based on the trust. between the traders, and then we have to have also human oversight. We want humanity to be part of it. That is only why you hear people talk about Industrial 5. We are dealing much on Industrial 4.0, but people will hear some people talk about human centricity, something of that. So because there's a need of accountability and people need to have explanation, and they have to have responsibility in the development of artificial intelligence. So when we talk about that, we need to we need to look at this rule-based modeling. As I was explaining, you have a certain situation. There's something in this rule. You have a trade market where you have the raw data, and then somebody use a black box. It will make the person who is an analyst, the trade analyst, he will look at those data, but he will be having a lot of uncertainties and a lot of trust, because you have used complex neural network. As I said, people much more, you can hear people talking about neural network, people will be talking about fuzzy logic, people will be talking about neural fuzzy, people will talk about genetic algorithm. Those are algorithms based on those machine learning people are talking about. But here what we are trying to say, can we have rule-based modeling, which has an automation, has intelligence, and has the trust? Then if the structure will help us to do those decisions. As I said, is not a theoretical things we are discussing here, is not saying something we have not implemented in the machines. We implemented it. That is why this was my thesis in my master's degree, and I published a book on the same way of doing if then how can you do the rule-based artificial intelligence. Now, when we do this, we need to look at the challenge and opportunities. What are opportunities that we have there? Definitely, there is a lot of transparency. If we wanted to do artificial intelligence and do good market survey, we are trying to look at the transparency, and also we need to be proactive in addressing market manipulation. But we need to look at opportunities which we are going to get there. Today I was having a market survey on another project with the team from technical and vocational training and universities. I'm trying to ask them, if you are seated in the office and you requested to travel because you are university officers, we are public officers, you want to travel from one country to another country, you need to seek approval, and then you get your per diem, what other people call DSA. But the boss may approve. When you go to finance, they tell you there is no money. So it means if the boss is using, there is an artificial intelligence there, on needed time, you can detect unusual pattern. The boss has signed for you, with the vice chancellor, the president of university, depending on how you call in your country. But the finance officer said there is no money. So that is, there's a problem. But on the other hand, if somebody claims he has some millions, and when you look at, you need to look at the pattern, how this person, what is he saying? Because maybe he may be doing just the spoofing and the washing trading. Then you need to have improved predictive capabilities, because artificial intelligence will help you to forecast, and then it can allow you to have intervention as soon as possible, because you can use a historical data. Because if somebody today say we are 2024, I am an officer of a certain institution, I do this business, next year he claimed to have 1 billion, it is a problem. You need to say how much data, how much he was selling. But where human being to go to calculate in the book may be very difficult. But if you have the data on how he has been doing it, you can be able to use artificial intelligence to predict. You can have scalability and efficiency. So it means the system can be able to analyze the larger volume of the data. That is what artificial intelligence is doing. And then you can be able to see, to allow human analysts to not to be challenged, or you can still challenge other people who are trying to cook the data. And then you can be able to have an adaptive learning, which will allow you to learn even information. The idea of artificial intelligence is to allow learning. I can use it in the simple way. When I was explaining artificial intelligence long time, I could say, when you have a child and is in a primary school year 1, you go, you teach her or him 1 + 1 is 2. You teach from 5 + 2 is 7. Then you can ask, what is 3 - 1? because this person, you have showed him how these things is happening, what this addition is happening, what is the logic behind it. Then this person can know, oh, 3 minus 1 is 2. Or that is how you teach, because you can't teach everything. Human being is using a natural intelligence, then you are trying to train artificial intelligence to have to do almost the same. So you can be able to, if you have this adaptive, it means as human being, if you are a parent and your child behave in a certain manner, because you are an intelligent, you can be able to, even if you have not seen that happening before, because you have a running mechanism in your body, you can start to create it, there's no problem. So you can be able to detect the emerging manipulation in the market if you use this artificial intelligence. Then you can enhance the transparency because you have details visualization, because you are talking about rule-based. You are talking about you have created rules and the people must follow the rules. So you can be able to detect the anomalies without a problem. But what are the challenge? Definitely the data quality and integration is not easy to do this artificial intelligence, to train systems, because you have to have high quality and accurate data. Because if you have an inaccurate data, they will give you what I can call incorrect detection, and they will give you issue of manipulation behavior. So you cannot be able to detect the manipulation. You have the complex of market dynamics, because the market is really too much dynamic. It means there are many factors which are influencing the market. So then it is difficult to do a very good model which can fully understand the marketing model. So those are the challenge. You have algorithm transparency and accountability, because algorithm may be very complex. When we are doing this artificial intelligence, you may find you have really to have, when we have machine like the computer we use in our lab for artificial intelligence, when you use the highest for computer with the graphic at the market today, we are using RTX 4070, and we are using like a RAM of 64, 128 GB. So this kind of RAM, still when you put the computer, you find, because of the data are very heavy. So we take a 22, currently we have a project on artificial intelligence for doing a 3D reconstruction. It means you have to take maybe an image, because it's a project to work on a prosthetic, to try to see if you take an image of somebody in Congo Republic or another place where there is a war. You can send us a picture or a video, we reconstruct, and then we do prosthetic, and then the person can fit it. So we are using artificial intelligence for doing that job, but it takes us like 24 hours to do reconstruction. Yes.
You can wind up, please, so that
we
are heading to 4:30 when we are
closing. Okay. So I can say the compliance, I am just on the last slide, and we have to update and accommodate this compliance, and then you have the skill required for people to do this kind of work. So in conclusion, I can say AI hold a lot of significance promises by increasing the transparency, but there is a lot of data quality needed to do it. So there is a need to balance the opportunities versus the challenges, so that you can be able to develop effective and fair artificial intelligence driven market survey. Thank you so much for listening to me.